Hey y'all, Irix Guy here, back again with another DJI Phantom 3 tutorial video. Now this is one of many tutorials that I have on Irix Guy's Adventure channel, youtube.com/Irix Guy. And what you can do, you can go to 400orbelow.com. You can find that link within this video's description. And I've got a how-to section there. It's not just limited to Phantom 3. It's going to include all the drones that I use. So this at the time of posting this, and it's May the 9th of 2015, at the time of posting this, this is the best drone on the market today. This is the professional version of the Phantom 3. So it's got the 4K camera. It's the DJI Phantom 3 Professional. Now there is a 1080p version, the Phantom 3 Advanced, this 1080p 60 frames per second, which is awesome as well. You just don't get the 4K video. You can find this Phantom, the quick disconnect prop guards, waterproof and ruggedized case, this little stick right here that we'll be using for this firmware update today. We're updating both the firmware on the Phantom 3 Professional and the Phantom 3 Professional controller. So I'm going to walk you through that step by step. You can find all of that on 400orbelow.com. Just check the link within this video's description. You can find it all there. If you can't find it, drop me a message. I'll reply directly with the links. Not a problem at all. It's my pleasure to help out. So what we're going to do first is I removed the micro SD card from the Phantom 3. So it goes right there, you know, in the gimbal that's above the camera. You just pop it out. I popped out the micro SD card and I've inserted it into my USB micro SD card reader. Now this is important, and you can get it within this video's description on 400orbelow.com. This is important because you're going to need this to download the firmware from your computer, and you're also going to need this to insert into the controller when we're doing the controller update step. So let's go through this step by step. The first thing we're going to do, and again, check the link within this video's description. I've got a link to this. You're going to want to go to the firmware download page, the DJI firmware download page. Now, the first thing you're going to need to do is know if you have Phantom 3 Professional or Phantom 3 Advanced. And obviously, if you purchased it, check the link within this video's description. I've got both models there. You'll likely know what you have, but if for some reason you're updating one for a friend or whatever, there is a logo on the back that says Phantom Professional. So that's what I've got as Professional. And that's important because they do have firmware available that's different for the Pro and the Advanced version. So I'm going to download firmware, Phantom 3 Professional firmware, and then at the time of posting this, this is the most current firmware, so it's May the 9th of 2015. So I'm downloading Phantom 3 Professional firmware version 1.1.8. So I've downloaded that to my Mac. I'm going to go to the downloads folder. Now this same procedure would work for PC. So after you download the file, you're going to need to unzip it. On the Mac, you may not have to unzip it. It may automatically pop up like mine did. But the important thing is to open that downloaded file, and you'll see possibly more files, but the one you want to get is the one that ends in .bin, bin. Stick your USB micro SD card reader. Again, you can get this within this video's description. Stick it into your computer's USB port. Preferably before you did this, you would have already erased it from within your Phantom. Maybe you just got the Phantom, so there's nothing on it. But you want to make sure if you have any videos or photos that you've saved those and you've removed those from this card before starting the firmware update procedure. You also want to make sure that your Phantom 3 battery and your Phantom 3 controller's battery are both completely charged. So I'm sticking this into the computer. And then once it pops up, I'm going to browse to the USB micro SD card reader, and you're going to want to copy over. All you want is that .bin file. Copy it over into the root, and it's important. It's the root of the micro SD card reader, because if you don't put it in the root, it's not going to work. So in my scenario, I see two things. When I go to the root, when I open that USB card reader, I see a folder. It's called DCIM. And now I've got this P3X underscore FW underscore V 01.01.0008.bin right alongside it. That's exactly how I want it to be. If you're using a Mac, you need to eject your card. If you're using a PC, you need to eject. It just makes everything cleaner. So I'm going to safely eject the USB reader that has the micro SD in it. It's ejected now. What I can do is pull it out safely. Now I was sticking it into a USB hub. You may just plug it right into the back of your computer. That's perfectly acceptable. It's a matter of how your setup is. So now what we have the micro SD card reader with the USB plug. We're going to take out the micro SD card. Simply pull it out, and this is the first step of the process. So again, make sure your Phantom 3 battery is completely charged before proceeding. Stick your micro SD card into the side, that little slot right there, right above the camera. So now it's stuck in. You can see right there it's stuck into the micro SD card slot. What we're going to do now is power this on, and this is going to start the firmware update procedure. Documentation states this may take around 25 minutes, so we're going to see how long it takes. I'm going to start my timer. And this may vary among Phantoms, so let's power it on. Obviously making sure that your gimbal guard and your props are off. Not that it should try to fly, but you don't want to assume anything. You're going to sit here and you're going to listen for key noises. Hear that noise? Beep, 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 beep. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That sound you're hearing right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the sound you're going to hear. That's the way of the Phantom saying, "Hey, man, I'm updating the firmware right now. Don't bother me." So we're just going to listen to this and sit here and. So you don't want to do this in a noisy environment because it's important that you can hear what the Phantom is saying to you. And right now it's saying I'm updating the firmware. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you hear that sound? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The 1, 2, 3 sound is acknowledging that the firmware update has completed successfully. Now there's a next step we're going to perform to further acknowledge beyond the audible sound right here, the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Beyond that, to let us know that it did update and that it did update successfully. So what we're going to do is power off the Phantom. And again, just before I do, you notice how it started out. It was beep, 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 beep. 4 beeps. Now it's 1, 2, 3. So do not, and I repeat, do not turn it off until you hear the 3 beeps versus the 4 beeps. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to turn this off. Now what we're going to do now, just to acknowledge that it updated successfully, we're going to eject the micro SD card. Oh, and by the way, I was timing that. That just took a few minutes. So this firmware update was significantly faster than the original firmware update. I think the original firmware update, the first one, this is the second one I've received. I think the first firmware update took me around 16 minutes, and they had estimated around 25 minutes. I guess that's a safe assumption to estimate longer than, instead of shorter, but... Okay, so now I'm putting my micro SD card back in my USB reader again. Check the link within this video's description. You can get this online. And we're going to put it back in our computer, and this is just a visual acknowledgement, because we've already had the audible acknowledgement that everything should be updated with those 3 beeps. Beep, beep, beep. That's saying it should be. But now let's stick it in and confirm. So we're putting it back in the computer, and we're going to browse to the micro SD card. Once we're in the SD card now, whereas before there was, I had the DCIM folder in the root of the SD card. That's where photos and videos are stored. Then I had the .bin file. But now I've got a third file, and it's called P3X FW result blah blah blah. So when you open that file, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this out, but what you need to do is look at the bottom line, and that's where it's the bottom line in today's format. It may change over time, but you're looking for that word success, SUCCESS. So mine says, packet blah 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 .bin, the bin file that I use. Upgrading, result, success. So that means that not only did we hear the audible acknowledgement that it was successfully updated, the beep, 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 the 3 beeps, but now we visually confirmed by opening the file that has since was created on the micro SD card after successful update, and it's also telling us that the Phantom 3 is updated successfully. But we're not finished yet, because now we've got to do the controller. So I'm going to safely eject the USB micro SD card reader, and we're going to go to the next step. The good thing about this is that we don't have to download a separate file for the controller. It's the same file, so that's convenient. So what we're going to do now, we do not have to have the Phantom turned on for this, so you can just put it to the side. But what we're going to do now on the controller, see, there's a USB port on the back. So this is where this is even important. Again, this micro SD USB card reader. Again, check the link within this video's description. You can buy it from 400orbelow.com. And I've got everything else there. I've got drones, I've got cases, I've got all kinds of goodness. So check them out. Good people, and share with others. So we're going to stick this into the controller, like so. And then once it's stuck in, what we're going to do is power on the controller. Notice this light right here, which is currently red. And you're going to watch it for a moment here. It's blue, right? So now it's blue and it's making a sound. You're just going to let it do its thing. Notice that it's blue. The LED to the far left of the controller is blue. So just sit here for a minute, patiently. Maybe check out 400orbelow.com while it finishes. Wow. It's still going. It made a little sound. It's like, hey, I'm not there yet. So keep watching that. It's still blue. Again, good time to watch some YouTube videos on Irish Guys Adventure Channel, or to go to 400orbelow.com. Maybe send me an email and thank me for this. I mean, I enjoy doing what I'm doing, but I really appreciate your support. And speaking of support, there is a link also. If you go to youtube.com/IrixGuy, there's a link that says support this channel. It's off to the right. You're welcome to do that if you want to. It's not required, but obviously tips are always appreciated. So that's it. That was that fast. And again, different firmware versions, the time that it takes to complete may vary. But that's all that it took, and it's confirmed to be updated. See that light? It's now green instead of blue. So that tells me that this controller has been successfully updated. But again, I don't trust anything. I want to have a second layer of validation. So we're going to turn the controller off. We're going to eject the USB micro SD card reader. We are going to stick it back into our computer. And we are going to browse to that card again. And now you will notice there's additional log files. So after we did the firmware, after we did the Phantom itself, the first step, there was one text file created that said success within the inside. Now I have 3 text files and the BIN file. So we're going to open all 3 text files. The first one says success. The second text file says success. And the third text file, it says success also. So what we have just done, we have, and this is just a quick recap. Number 1, we went to we went to 400orbelow.com and we picked up a USB micro SD card reader. Number 2, we ensured that all of our videos and/or photos that might be on the micro SD card were backed up before deleting them, because we wanted to make sure everything was deleted from this card before beginning the firmware update procedure. We made sure that our Phantom battery as well as our Phantom 3 controller battery were both completely charged. We ensured that our gimbal guard was off of the camera. We followed the link at 400 or below, which you can check the link within this video's description from the how-to section, that had a link to download the current firmware. We downloaded the current firmware. And we put it on our micro SD card by way of this USB micro SD card reader. We updated our Phantom 3 Professional first. We confirmed, after hearing the audible acknowledgement, the beep, 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 the 3 beeps, we did a second layer of validation, stuck this back in our computer, and checked the text file, and looked for where it said success. After doing that, we did our next step, which was updating the Phantom 3 controller firmware. We confirmed that the LED indicator on the front of the controller changed from a blue to a green color, indicating that firmware update had completed successfully. And as a second layer of validation, we then stuck this back in our computer and checked all the text files to ensure that they contained the verbiage success. So now we are completely updated. And this is something that I would highly recommend doing periodically, as be sure to subscribe to Irix Guy's Adventure channel, youtube.com/Irix Guy, because obviously I'll keep my fans abreast of all the latest firmware updates, etc. And also bookmark 400orbelow.com, because you're going to want to go there and be posting a lot of stuff, not just related to firmware, but everything drone how-to, everything drone fun. It's all going to be there. So, yeah, drop me a line anytime. I'm always happy to try to help, and hope this video was of value. I know that I'm updated now. Now, a few things I do want to do before I hit the field today. I am going to charge my Phantom 3 battery and my controller up the rest of the way. Even though it didn't take a lot of battery for this firmware update, I still want to make sure both are completely charged before I hit the field for a day of fun. So thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe, youtube.com/Irix Guy. Y'all have a good day.